So so we can all we need to do is just keep our chat going, which is no big deal. This will be up on YouTube. I will get you the links, everything once everything is done. And you can promote it on your side as well. Show links, YouTube links, all the fun stuff. Let's see.
Excellent.
And I'm getting your show. And let's see. And where are you? You're on the East Coast as well? You're in Florida.
Yeah, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. So I thought when I read everything last night. I try to be prepared. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it works. You know, it's all sorts of craziness with live radio.
Yes. I used to work for a radio station, so I definitely understand.
Hold on one second. I need to get my network cable because I don't trust the Wi-Fi because the last time I used
Okay.
Wi-Fi it went straight down. So right back. Hold on one second. Oh, you. That will make. Oh, yeah, that way. That way. That will make things a lot better. So you were in radio too? I didn't mean to stop.
I handled sales and marketing for first I did national sales for Westwood One Radio and their traffic packages around the country. And then I handled marketing and advertising for the local sports radio station here in Jacksonville.
Oh, nice. So yeah, you've been
I,
all different
I've
types
had
of
fun with
markets.
it. I would get on air every once in a while. I would voice over a lot of commercials.
That's pretty cool.
Did a bit eating a spicy pickle once on the morning show that still lives in infamy on YouTube.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Let's see. We're February. I have you here and you. Okay. Here is our show. We're going to talk all about marketing. And let me get your stuff up here. We'll be joined by a sound engineer shortly. He'll be just sitting in the background
Okay.
hanging out. Yeah, we'll go to quarter of. We'll say goodbyes for you. I'll continue what's coming up. I'll introduce the next show. Actually, the next show is actually going to be pretty cool. Just like yours is. Every show that I do is like way different than the last show. The next show is actually going to be all about how a comedian makes his money. So,
Okay.
but marketing, I struggle with it. Everybody that I know is struggling with it. So I can't wait to get some insider stuff from you on how to overcome some things. It's gonna be wonderful.
I always love the comments, the topic. So I'll look forward to the conversation.
Oh, excellent, excellent. I find I used to do way back when I first started this. I have a whole bunch of list of questions and get through the questions in like 20 minutes, and then it's like, okay, what do I do after the break? It was never, it never flowed. And then once I got rid of the questions and we started having a conversation, we start running out of time.
Yeah, it's fun to have these organic conversations. I have a podcast, but I also have an online TV portal that I do interviews for.
Ooh.
And those are 5-minute interviews. They're really fast. It's marketing experts from owners of agencies around the country. Every once in a while, it expands that border. And I tell them when we go through the motions like this now, make sure your answers are as thorough and as brief as possible because 5 minutes comes up very fast. And it does. If someone comes up there and if I give I have the same script. What's your background in marketing? Tell me about that. To what kind of things you're doing now, and then they say something that triggers a conversation. I go off in the tangents there. I had people just start to regurgitate to me after the first question. How did you get your start in marketing? And boom, and 4.5 minutes later, I'm getting the warning that the interview is over, and I'm saying, got to wrap it up, and they didn't tell me anything in their opportunity.
Oh,
But when I'm podcasting, it's organic, and I can talk as long as I want. I can decide how long the episode's going to be.
okay. Nice. Very nice. Nah, I'm limited to the hour here
Yes,
because it is live, and then once the show is over, it then gets rebroadcasted a whole bunch of times, like 7, 8 times, and then it goes out to the streaming platforms. So you'll be on Spotify,
how long have you
Apple,
been doing this?
almost 10 months.
Okay, and what kind of results have you been getting out of it?
I have touched at least 40 different countries, and I
Okay,
have over 12,000 listens already.
very
So
nice.
so everything's growing. It's it depends. I've been finding that certain topics resonate better than other topics, especially the weird topics that I've been doing. Uh, like the Airbnb one, total over 600 over 600 listens. The military to millionaire, I actually advertise that on a couple military platforms, like shout outs and stuff. I have over 1,700 listens on that one alone.
Nice.
So it's what people look for, but don't know where to find it type of thing going on. So I'm starting to tune into what my listeners want, and actually still trying to get new listeners.
Well, that's the whole process. It's an evolution of one person telling another person and trying to get it into those. I've found the groups in Facebook have taken a real nosedive. So
Yeah,
it's a real challenge to really get a message out that doesn't get um, swallowed up by people trying to just regurgitate and promote themselves. But
yeah.
there's things there that really do people do. Alignable still seems to be up and kicking if you haven't utilized that.
I have been, but there's so many other all the platforms. It's hard to keep track of which one's which.
I know.
Alignable, it's like you're saying, it is up and coming, and I see a lot of businesses on there, and I made a lot of contacts on there. But where do we start drawing the line of what gets what priority?
Yep, and it's hard just to find the time. Like I keep saying, I keep having a window of alignable open and say I'm going to do this today, and I never get to alignable. And I think I've made it. Unfortunately, timing wise, I've made a huge mistake because I think there's a lot of stuff going on in alignable that's just interactive.
Yeah.
Where LinkedIn, it's not as interactive as you want it to be.
No, I've been finding out with LinkedIn, it's more or less the new job market, the new job searching type of thing going on with LinkedIn. That's where I've been, all the recruiters hanging out there, all the HR people, the talent scouts. But as for
It's always
getting,
been a great place for recruiting.
oh yeah, I get constant bombardments for jobs. It's like, well, I see you have this, but do you have this? I'm like, I get at least 5 to 6 calls or emails from that. I agree. It's great for recruiting. It's much better than Monster or Dice or any of the other ones ever came close to.
Yeah,
And your last name is Walpuff?
Wallpuff, correct.
Walpuff. Okay. And I got you here. And we have our sound engineer.
Excellent.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hi, Josh.
Hey, how you doing today?
Doing wonderful. Nice and sunny here. And
Good deal. Let's do a quick sound check, man. Count back from five for me.
sure, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And Howard, I'll have you do the same thing, please.
Sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Howard, are you using a outboard mic or are you using a built-in?
I'm using it built in.
Okay. Do you know how to get into your Zoom settings?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to walk you through just to make sure we're in the same spot, okay? Bottom left of your screen, there's a little microphone icon. Just to the right of it, there's a little up arrow.
Okay.
Click on that arrow. It's going to bring up a pop-up. Bottom of that pop-up says audio settings. And it should bring up a whole new window for you when you click on that. In that window,
Okay.
about halfway down, you'll see microphone in bold letters. And then just below that, it says test mic input level and volume. Right below volume, there's a little button that says automatically adjust microphone volume. Make sure that's unchecked.
Okay, it's checked off. Now it's unchecked.
Okay. Now, right above that, there's a little slider with a blue dot on it. If you were to give me
Yes.
like a 1 through 10, it's complete guess on here, but a 1 through 10 of where that dot's at, what would it be at?
6.5, 7.
Okay. Turn it up to maybe a 7.5, 8 for me and count back from 5 again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Do me a favor, sit back, like you just get comfortable, and then count back one more time for me. I just want to make sure you're at the spot where you're going to be talking at, not
Sure.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Perfect, right there, buddy. We should be good to go. Keep in mind if you're
Okay.
like me and talk with your hands because you're using the built-in mic. If you hit that desk in front of you, it'll be kind of loud. So just be mindful of that. And if you have your cell phone nearby, make sure it's set to silent or airplane mode because vibrate will get picked up by your microphone.
Yes, that's all good.
All right. Otherwise, gentlemen, we've got about 3 minutes before we go live.
Oh, cool. The 2.5 minutes will go by fast. The last 30, 20 seconds takes forever. It's that dead silence where you're waiting for the music to come in. It's like, all right, are we there? But so let's see. Have you done any marketing with TikTok yet, or experiments?
I've done some experiments and I've done a lot of conversation about it because it comes up a lot when I have these conversations with agencies. They are using TikTok significantly with their audience. I started to do something that got some traction, but I changed direction with what I was leading it to, so I've paused. I've actually been trying to do some stuff with Instagram and get that back to where I want it to be over the last week or so. That the next step is something I'm going to record on either tomorrow or Thursday that I'm going to utilize for both for Instagram and TikTok.
Okay, cool. We'll definitely get into that because all these new social
TikTok is
media
very
platforms,
powerful.
I've been seeing that too. All the likes and everything else, and everybody's on it now, like all the powerhouses. But we'll definitely get into that as to strategizing
Absolutely.
with the media.
All right. We got about 45 seconds or so till we go live. Once you hear that music, we will be. Enjoy yourself,
Okay.
gentlemen.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. Whether you feel that you don't have enough money to start investing or are under the preconceived notion that investing is only for the wealthy, Magnus and his expert guests are here to help you. Now, here is your host, Magnus Carter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Magnus Carter. This is the Making More Money for You show. I want to take a moment to thank my last week's guest, Daniel Kranzo from Godspeed with Daniel. It was a very different type of show we had, more or less investing with spirituality, finding yourself, finding how you align with other things in the universe or the person that you follow. So that was a definitely different topic. And this week's topic is definitely in everybody's wheelhouse that has a business. We are going to be talking about marketing, building a brand for market, the market itself out there, how it's changing, how it's diversifying, and what we can actually do as business owners or looking to be business owners can use it to our advantage. To do this, I have Chief Marketing Strategist at Profit Master Business Solutions, Howard Wolpoff. Welcome to the show, Howard.
Thank you, Magnus. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. When you reached out about marketing, and I'm like, this is something I struggle with personally, or actually professionally, in selling books and also everything else out there is marketing because it's always changing. So before we get started, can you give us a little bit of background on what you've been through and how you've seen a lot of changes happen from when you started till now?
Well, that could be a long story. I'll try to keep it very brief. I think let's start with right now. I work with small business owners who are having challenges marketing their business and seeing the revenue results that they've been hoping for. A lot of them are the way they look at marketing is that whole visual concept of taking spaghetti and throwing it against the wall and seeing what will stick instead of having an actual measured approach. They spend a lot of time and money, and all they do is create some more of a mess than the results they're looking for. You have to have a strategy. Otherwise, you're part of someone else's strategy. And what I like to see and what I like to implement with the businesses I work with is measured marketing, something that really can tell what is working, what's not working, testing, seeing results, making sure things are timely. You have to have specific objectives, measurable objectives, actionable objectives, realistic objectives, timed objectives, things that really can show you what is happening, how it can happen better, what can you really get the results from. And I have been in the industry for well over 25 years. I've been in event marketing. I've been in sports marketing. I helped launch a minor league baseball team way back when. Wow. That's one of the more popular ones in the industry. I've ran 2 different marketing and advertising agencies, and business owners really have a lot of passion, a lot of focus of what they want to accomplish. Most of them didn't go to school to be a business owner or a marketer, and that's where their challenge is in growing businesses. I think there's a great statistic. There's 10 million new businesses that opened up in the last 2 years, which is phenomenal. Sadly, wow. Yeah, and I think it was even mentioned in the State of the Union address. But sadly, that over 50% of all new businesses that start this moment, this year, whenever it starts, don't make it to their 5th year. And less than 4% of all new businesses make $100,000 in annual revenues. So there's a lot to learn to market yourself in the most efficient way and the most effective way to make sure that you are developing your business the way you want it to be.
Okay. Well, we could have multiple conversations over multiple days with what you just talked about. But I know our time is precious today because I know you have something else that has to happen before the end of the show, which is totally fine. But to get into the meat and potatoes about this is how do you decide what you want your marketing to do? Is there like a template that we have to follow or what results we want? And does it vary from business to business? That actually came up as a question in my mastermind meeting today with my fellow publishers is does marketing, are there certain aspects of marketing that go across all platforms?
Let's break that down. There are certain aspects of marketing that can go across all platforms and all industries. Okay. But you as the business owner, whatever industry it is, need to understand fully who your target audience is.
Right.
And okay. I love to give the example of someone that sells hand lotion. If they go into this conversation and say, my audience is everyone that has hands, then they have no idea what they're talking about because not everyone with hands buys hand lotion or needs hand lotion or has an interest in hand lotion. You have to really niche down to find those that have the real interest in hand lotion to then figure out how to market to them. And you also have to understand that people have two concepts going on in their head as they're on their journey to find the right answers for themselves. There's a problem they have they don't want, and there's a result they want they don't have. And you need to formulate all of your marketing, especially your entryway marketing, to be able to address those two concepts. Because if you don't, and you're not answering it as strongly as you can, the prospect will just start to look on to find someone else who can answer it and not spend their time with you, because there's not a lot of time to waste when it comes to doing these types of searches or anything in life, unfortunately.
Okay. Now that is excellent right there. So before going to marketing, you have to understand what your brand does. Am I correct? You have to fully understand what your brand wants to communicate out to your customers before you start spending money and sending it out to people.
You have to figure out what your market dominating position is, what makes you the best, the strongest, and what kind of added value are you providing? How are you better than others in your industry? But also fully understanding who your prospect is that you need to market to, so that you have a clear focus on the message. So when they are looking, that they're understanding it.
Okay. Okay. Now, for an example, for the people, for the new business owners out there, let's take my books, for example. My books are all about getting the jargon out of investing. And that's my main thing that I'm doing with this. And my target market is actually the people that want to invest in the ages of 18 to 35. Or is that a good enough starting point to test, or do I need to go down further?
It's a good starting point, and you've been at this for a while, so I feel you have a sense of who you've been trying to speak to and who's been speaking back, and that's really the starting key. If you're a company who's starting out, it really is fleshing everything out to figure out who you want to target to. If this company's been around for a while, let's talk about successes and failures. What has been working, what hasn't been working, and focus on that what hasn't been working a little bit more, because we're going to figure out where you've been mismarketing and not reaching your target audience. I think that with that 18 to 35 group, it's people who either have not done any investing or have done very little investing. And I think predominantly don't understand investing. And again, the jargon part is key, because I know I took a finance class in business school, but I don't really enjoy watching any of those finance shows where they're throwing different terms out of what's going on in the stock market. It's a lot of language that I don't understand. So you definitely seem to have a target of who you're speaking to. You just have to figure out how you're addressing the two questions that are going on in their head and market to them they want to be marketed to.
Okay. Now, you brought up an excellent point on where to find our customers. And in this day and age with technology, people are jumping from platform to platform to platform. Now, is it smart to jump with those people or stay on one platform and wait till they come back around? I know we were talking about TikTok, how powerful TikTok was, and we've seen the platforms as Facebook ads, Facebook groups. Also, even Instagram is coming up and more powerful. How do we determine whether do we chase or do we actually stay and wait for them to come back?
Well, it depends on how long you've been doing something and how well you've been doing it. So when you say a statement of wait until they come back, if you've been running Facebook ads and they were doing great and now they're not doing it as well, there's some testing you need to be doing. Perhaps you need to check at what the ad you're running and reframe it and give it a different angle. Look at the demos that you're trying to hit those ads with and make sure that it's niched down to who you're really trying to reach. But people have short attention spans, and their intent in general is not to be sold to until they are in the market to be sold on something. And then they'll start to do the research, or something will catch their eye. And like I was looking for birthday gifts for my wife. It was a very big range in an ad that I started to see on It was either it was probably on TikTok. I saw it, and once I clicked on it and engaged in it, then it started to retarget me, and I started to see it all the time. And then I finally engaged with it. It was really cute. Make your own little. We're a big Lego family, so it was
Okay.
Lego minifigs, and when it finally arrived, it went over well in the household. But people they have these short attention spans, and that's why you're finding a lot of people gravitating towards Instagram Reels, or TikTok, because you're just flowing through. There's not a lot of reading that's going on. It's really all soaking in a video and being spoken to or entertained to. And a lot of times you might be being sold while you're being entertained in the process.
Okay. Now, with this change in technology, has impulse buying gone down or has it gone up? In as to terms of marketing, I should say. Because way back
It's
when we used to be able to go out and see things, say, "Oh, I want that." Is that still happening today with these type of ads, digital era?
it's a trick question, and that's the whole thing of, for example, supermarket advertising and marketing. When you go into the supermarket, you'll find different things on the end caps, those ends of your aisles, and that's to try to get right in front of your face. So someone is paying money to be on those end caps, so you'll grab something as you're going down the aisle for your cereals and everything else you're looking for. With the way the economy is right now, I think people have been scared to death with the word recession, which probably isn't going to happen at this point, although we really are. There's still challenges with inflation more than that, with trying to hold their dollars. I think things are kind of staying status quo, although there are people who will clearly see something and buy it just because it jumps out at them. And that's why the TikTok and Instagram and Facebook are making a lot of money on advertising, because they're still getting in front of people, and they're finding the right ways to engage them to click and find out more.
Okay. Now, was a lot of this change in diversifying in the digital ads spawned from what happened in 2020? Or was this going to happen regardless of what happened with everybody being shut in?
Well, digital ads really had been developing years before. In the mid-teens, you really saw focus on digital ads and ad buying. Like I was running a website for a couple of years for focus on SEC football. I have a big background in working in sports, and that's what I did. I worked with people buying digital ads, and the ad servers that were running into the website, and the way that these were being run in generating revenue for the website. And this was a big part of people's budgets and companies' budgets, and it started to grow larger and larger. Yes, when people were shut in, there were a lot more focuses on advertising online. People are so used to fast forwarding on their TVs and skipping through the commercials. And if you're in a car, switching from one station to the other when you're on the radio, it's hard to find the right way to get in front of people. One of the things, in addition to hearing TikTok, I speak to a lot of agency owners and marketing executives with some of the recordings that I do. And people are talking about advertising on streaming. So if you're on Paramount, you're on Hulu, you're watching a show, a minute and a half of commercials are going to come on. You cannot fast forward through them. No. And you're going to get that marketing message. Now, hopefully it's not, if they overbuy or they've undersold and there's a commercial that's getting a lot of added value, extra spots, it can be frustrating. I've seen the same woman kick the clown in the face over and over again while on Paramount watching 1923 and 1883, those series. But I'm a captive audience at that point. It's very rare that you can find a place that you're going to find someone as a captive audience.
Yeah, that definitely sparks another conversation about marketing. And I'm one of those subscribers is I'm paying not to have those ads. And that's definitely one of the things that irk me the most about them doing that. That's a personal opinion, but I know a lot of people out there. But doesn't that give the streaming service another option to sell them for a higher price, of course, a service that does not have ads. So isn't that like a two-way marketing thing right there that could possibly
For
work
the
for them?
the streaming service, absolutely. They have to measure in their minds what's the threshold that people want to spend.
Okay.
So once you hit that threshold, then you go a little above that, and those are the prices you charge from people who don't want ads. But you also have to look at the math on your end. How much revenue are you getting from ads, and how much is the difference between what you're going to take in for those extra couple of dollars each month and the revenue that your ads are bringing you? The bottom line is these companies have a budget and a goal that they've set for each year, and they have to hit it one way or the other. So they're going to figure out what's the best thing for them, which may not be the best thing for the viewer and may not be the best thing for the advertisers. But advertisers are going to try in different ways to get in front of people. That's why people put those screens in bars, and you'd have trivia with advertising running over there, and in laundromats, and any place that you can find it. And before my favorite is still before the movies. Once you are in the theater sitting down and they're running commercials before they start the previews, that is a huge opportunity to get a captive audience when they're there, or buy a commercial in a baseball stadium in between innings.
Oh, yes, I remember before you used to be able to get to the movie like 10 minutes before the previews start. Now it's like 45 minutes before the previews start, because they will put that one piece of content in there for a movie that's in between all those commercials, and you got to sit through them, and you can't see it anywhere else. And that's actually genius. So,
and there's probably gonna be more of it with all the troubles that the movie theaters have had. They're gonna have to they're finding different ways to sell advertising within the theater to compensate for the people who aren't buying tickets and who are waiting it for to come out on a streaming service much faster these days. So it's opportunities and challenges. That's really what advertising always is.
okay. Now, with those what is one of the most minuscule challenges that are always overlooked in marketing? What, I know you probably have like a whole list of them, but just pick out one that you've seen over and over again with all your clients.
There's a statement that I share all the time is people don't know what they don't know. And that's the biggest problem with marketing, because you'll have a lot of business owners who do not have a marketing background and were successful with some level of ad that they ran in a coupon magazine or somewhere. So they know everything at this point. And that's the biggest challenge when it comes to marketing, is trying to let a business owner absorb that there are many different things out there. That is the biggest thing about marketing is testing. And I think if I'm expanding on the answer to you is you really need to test your marketing. You just can't run an ad and decide it didn't work. Well, if you ran something on a commercial on radio and you ran it for a month and you didn't get the results you wanted, did it not work? Or did you either not have the right messaging in the message, or you haven't given it enough time, or you didn't put enough money, so there weren't a lot of commercials actually running in your schedule because you were concerned about your budget. And it didn't resonate with the audience. They didn't get the reach and frequency that they needed to want to respond to it. So looking at radio, looking at digital ads, looking at creating a TikTok campaign, there's a lot of different things you can do to market your business and get an audience, but you have to test to be able to do that. And not a lot of business owners think about that in the process.
Okay. And that comes back to the conversation we had before, is you have to know what you want and what the results are, what results are acceptable, what results are not acceptable, and just scrap the idea and start over, but take what you learned from it to move into a different one. Am I correct?
You have to have a marketing strategy.
Right.
And in the marketing strategy, you're looking at results.
Right.
And the results, again, having a measured marketing, that you're measuring your results and making decisions based on what makes sense for your company, trying to hit certain goals on a specific basis, trying to make the big splash in the right way. So someone comes into a big corporate meeting and say, okay, it was the Super Bowl was this weekend. Let's all run a
Yes.
Super Bowl ad, and you'll get all these eyeballs on it, and we can really everyone's gonna know who we are. Well, Super Bowl ads are $7 million to place, plus all the different money to invest in creating the Super Bowl ad. You may be up to $8-9 million by the time you're all said and done with all the other placements for it, unless you're strategic and maybe run a local ad. It's probably the most expensive local ad you're gonna ever pay for. Can you actually afford to do something like that? It may be great to get all those eyeballs, but you really have to make a measured decision whether this is the direction you want to go in. And it's all about having the right strategy from the beginning and testing and making sure that you're getting the results and the return on investment that you're looking for with when you're doing your budgeting.
Okay. Most definitely, because 8 million. Wow. Last time I actually looked into that, I was like $2 million, like way back when for a commercial. But as we
So
know, the
we've been
time.
well past $2 million. It was 5 million about 4 years ago, and I think it was either 7 or 7.5 million per 30 seconds.
Oh my, wow. Wow. And then the same company has it on the commercial on there 3 or 4 times during the whole Super Bowl. That adds up. Wow.
And adds
That's
up very quickly. And then you have the supporting buy after that you're doing on a national cable buy, and did the commercial on YouTube and other places online. So there's a lot of buying dollars that are being done as part of these ad campaigns with the expectation of what kind of revenues you're going to generate from it.
okay. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's definitely a lot to think about, and a lot to factor in before you go and spend your hard-earned money, because you might not get it back, as we're saying, but it's a learning process, as we're saying as well. Now, another part of the learning process is there, like you said before, there's over 10 million businesses starting out a year. What makes a reputable marketing company? When a business is looking to market their their goods or their services, what are some of the things that they have to look for to find a very good and reputable uh, agency to represent them?
I think they need to understand what they're investing their dollars in. So investing in an agency, you want to look at the track record. You want to look at what kind of clients they've had before, what kind of successes they're going to come pitch to you in the process. But also realize there's a lot of cost just to retain an agency on a monthly basis, in addition to the campaign design and the ad placements and all those pieces go along with it. Sometimes you need to just look within and have someone, a really good, strong marketing person in the company, or a fractional director of marketing, someone who is independent from your company and will come in on a hired basis to work on the different campaigns that you're looking for. And you want to make sure that everything that you're doing, you're viewing from the eyes of the prospect who's going to be interacting with you. Because I get this all the time dealing with people on their websites. You get to websites that's a digital brochure, has a general picture of a meadow with a wonderful quote or concept that has something to do with what you do, and then starts talking about, this is what I do. I am this. I have this background in this. I about yourself.
Mhm.
They're going to get confused. They're going to get. They're not going to be educated on what you're doing, because they're on a journey about themselves. They're on their journey. They're not on your journey. So while they do want to learn certain things about you, they want to know what you're going to do for them. And that's what as quickly as possible, because their attention span is short. So if they're scrolling down the screen trying to find answers, they're going to give up and go find somebody else who might provide it to them. So there's a whole strategy in designing your website to grab people's attention immediately, so that they want to keep learning more.
And this is where testimonials come into play, reviews come into play. You want to look at that, their business ratings, and their clients. I've been approached multiple times by a lot of agencies that have clients, what clients they represented. And are those all good factors to look into when you're looking for one?
I think there's value to it.
Okay.
But they also need to be able to speak to you. Now, you're the prospect when you're doing the search for an agency in this situation. They need to speak to you.
Okay.
You have the same two issues going on in your head that your prospect is going to have as well. There's a problem you have you don't want, a result that you want that you don't have. I really need someone to help market my business, and I need the right type of marketing to get my business moving forward. Now, keep in mind, most companies do not have to hire an advertising agency. If you're going to be going into commercials and billboards and digital advertising, some of that can be handled in-house by your own marketing staff. That you don't have to do that extra expense. But when it comes to these broader commercials and real concept stuff, that you're gonna create a commercial and a full campaign. That level of expertise comes in very handy, and that's a good investment for your company at that time. But if you're just starting out, you do not need an advertising agency.
Okay. That's good knowledge, because the people that constantly call or schedule, they make it a point that you can't do your job without them, but they don't offer the solutions or anything to back up that statement. I found personally, and that's one thing that I will tell my listeners to take into consideration is question if you don't feel right about it, and if you don't honestly think that they have what it takes to, like you're saying, keep it in house. Try it. Try your strategies. Come up with a strategy. Come up with multiple strategies, and then just move down the line.
The agency has a budget as well, and they have a sales team as well. So they're trying to do sales and create revenue the same way you are. So at certain times, you may just be a line item on their revenue budget as opposed to a real necessity. Are there needs that you have? Yes, you do need a professional to build the website for you, and there are varying levels of expert that can do that for you. It doesn't have to be going to an agency to get a great web design.
Oh, absolutely. And I've tried one of these agencies before, and it was actually marketing my first two books. I'm like, okay, this is book sales. I gave them all the information. I gave them everything they could possibly ever want. The statistics, the reviews, the pictures, my testimonials, where it's been sold, the pricing, how the difference in pricing and whatnot. They honestly, for 6 months, they could not get me one sale. So that told me a lot about them. And I went back to their manager and whatnot, because I got locked into a monthly retainer, as you're saying, because they need to sell, and I signed the contract for it. But they failed to produce results, and I got out of my contract because it was money wasted on it. And they said every 2 months, they tried a different strategy, but each one of those strategies failed. I'm like, how can you fail at this when I have over 100 reviews on my books and they're still selling without even you being present? So what are you guys doing, and what are you doing with my money? That was my question to it.
It's a very good question to ask.
And honestly, they couldn't back anything up. They just was like, okay, this is your last month. You don't have to pay it. See you, bye. So and it's a shame that there's companies out there that are like that, but there's also, like you're saying, Howard, is companies that are actually taking the time, like you do, what your 25 years and your experience and all the vast things that you're doing, is you want to see how you can solve their problems and get it to the right people.
The customer is key, and that's the way I see things. And it really has to be in this type of relationship. The customer has to be key. It's not just bringing in the retainer every month.
Okay. Now, throughout your years, and you've seen a lot of changes, what has been the best time in your marketing career that you've seen that everything just aligned, the technology was there, everything that you were working on just fell into line, and you had great results?
It varies. I've had some really great experiences. I worked as part of the launch of a minor league baseball team in Brooklyn, New York, and we marketed in different ways, and we were selling out on a nightly basis. So I ran a Broadway show, as I would always describe it, on a nightly basis around baseball, and I didn't care what it didn't matter to me whether the team won or lost, or that the fans cared if they won or lost. It was the excitement inning by inning that we were providing to them, because it really was an entertainment focus. And there was a lot of different marketing that was thrown in with the sponsorships and the giveaways and the outfield fence signs. Working in local radio, I ran different types of advertising campaigns for clients. And one in particular, we took a local regional diet company in their local market, and took them from being 80% female the one year to 55% male the next year, because we're on a male-focused sports radio station, and that's how successful that they were. They had a 40% increase in their revenues because of the campaign that we implemented that year.
Oh my goodness!
It's always been my favorite experience.
Oh wow! And on that note, we have to take a break, Howard. We already went through the first half of the show, so actually we went over a little bit. I'm being told. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to have some more great content with Howard. Thank you for tuning in.
You are clear.
Oops. Thanks, Josh.
I didn't know what to do. I gave you some shorter answers because I saw that I have the message, the chat up. I don't know whether this would have helped or not, but
that's why I was like, wait. I'm like, oh, here we go. I didn't even realize. So I was so involved with the conversation. I'm like, oh, 30 seconds. Like, was that 30 seconds ago or 2 minutes ago? I'm like,
yeah, that was when we were talking about the agency.
Oh, so we are over. Well, that's okay. This is live radio. We try to stay somewhat professional and on track. Is there anything that you want to touch on before we have our next 15 minutes?
I think that it really comes. A lot of the conversation I have comes down to the small business owner, and understanding when it's time for that they do need help. Because again, some of the example I gave is that you have a full marketing department that can implement things that an agency you don't need them to do. But if you're the solopreneur, if you have only a few people in the office, and that marketing hat might be the one that fits the least, and you have to make that assessment of okay, this hat doesn't fit. How do I get the help I need without spending for an agency? Because really, that's what I do.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And at the end of this conversation, you can pitch your agency and whatnot. Off you go. And I'd love to follow up with you in
about 10 seconds.
Keep talking with you after this, because this is wonderful, and I'd love to have you back on the show.
Absolutely.
You're listening to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. If you have any questions for Magnus or his guests, join us on the show at 866-472-5789. That's 866-472-5789. Now back to the show. Here is Magnus Carter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I have Howard Wolpuff here, and we're talking about marketing with small business owners, some of his great experience throughout the years. We covered quite a bit in the first half. If you missed it, definitely go when it's available on your streaming services, like and subscribe it, and also tune back in, because this is going to actually be really good. Welcome back to the show, Howard.
Thank you so much, Magnus.
Awesome. We covered a lot of things. We covered strategies and what to look out for with agencies and whatnot. But one thing we haven't talked about is we're focused on the small business owners here. Is when is it time to actually start looking for people to start marketing their services or their products?
Well, it depends on the small business owner. As I like to say, people didn't go to college to learn how to be a business owner. They learned about being an employee. So a lot of the skills you need to market your business aren't taught in school. And so I think the best owners are the ones that realize that they know what they know, but they also understand what they don't know. And bring in help, hiring people, bringing in coaches, bringing in anyone that can support you to make sure that you're getting your messages out there is very important. Sometimes you jump in and you find the right magic and things explode. We were talking about TikTok, and there's a guy on there named Keith Lee, really nice guy. And all of a sudden, towards the end of this past year, 2022, he started doing local food reviews for Las Vegas. And he has a real charm about him. And all of a sudden, people started to follow him. And all of a sudden, he hit 1 million people following him. And he'd mention a restaurant, and the restaurant would be bombarded the next day with lines out the block, down the block, because they saw this one guy on TikTok talking about him. And now he joined in with Mr. Beast and helped 10 restaurants, and now he's getting a TV show out of it. So sometimes you hit magic and everything goes in your way. And I'm so happy for this guy and what he's accomplished in 6-7 months. But sometimes they're a lot harder for business owners to find out where is the right place to advertise and how to market themselves. A lot of that has to do with the fact they really don't know who their audience is. I'm a plumber. That's great. It's not just everyone who has a leak in their sink. You have to be somewhat regionalized and localized and try to capture an area and find ways to speak to that area so that you are the plumber of that area, to start developing a campaign based on that.
Okay. I've recently spoken to a young business owner, 21 years old, in Florida, that did the exact same thing with pest control. And he is killing it down, honestly, in the Tampa area. Down, I know it's a little bit of ways from you, but he actually owns a fleet of vans. He owns multiple employees, and he's actually opening an extra location because he's expanding. And he did exactly what you're saying here. He got help when he needed it. And he's been very cautious on how he's running his business, but still taking the risks, some minor risks,
which is fantastic. It can be really exciting when things grow that way, and you have to find the way to nurture it. I had two gentlemen come on my podcast, and they have a chimney business in the greater Los Angeles area. And why do they have a chimney business? Not because they wanted to be Bert from Mary Poppins their whole life. They had skills in home improvement and said, okay, what is missing in this general area? And it was chimney work and cleaning the fireplaces and those tasks. So they found something that was need, and then they started marketing and going door to door. They had great skills going door to door, and their business exploded from day one. So that works sometimes, but sometimes you really have to get creative. You're going to be the 35th roofing company in the neighborhood. It's just that there becomes a lot of challenges. It's about knowing your audience and whether that's the right decision to begin with. And then if that's the case, how to speak to them the way they want to be spoken to as they're on their journey for searching for answers for their roof.
Oh, you brought up a good point there. Now, each business that you deal with, have you you probably have seen that businesses are trying to copy other businesses, and they're not really standing out to make them actually memorable, if you will. And when that happens, how do you start marketing something like that?
I think copying is one of the sincerest forms of flattery, in different ways, but you have to be realistic of who you are. I think that people are looking for someone that's unique and someone that really speaks honestly about themselves. If you're trying to be someone else in your business, it's going to be very challenging to get past the judgment of prospects of what they're looking for. There are great companies to emulate. There are great campaigns to emulate in different markets. There are ones to stay as far away from as possible. I think that I laugh because I love the example of some of the lawyer commercials that are out there. You have a guy in Texas called the Law Hawk, who just screams into the camera and gets a lot of attention. But also, he also gets a clientele that really can't pay their bills, because that's the ones that gets excited about him being their representative. So you have to be understanding who your target audience is at all times when you're trying to present yourself to the public and market to them.
Okay. Now, when the company, we all changes everywhere. Now, is it smart for the company to change, but keep their core values in place and change with the times? Or is it good to just stay where they are and hold their values and keep doing what they're doing?
Depends company by company. I think there's
Okay.
most need to evolve over time, but if you are a restaurant with a certain charm to it, you want to keep that charm. That charm is the reason why people keep coming back.
Exactly.
So
Okay.
it's, again, it goes back to understanding who your client is and how to speak to them that they want to be spoken to, and being honest about who you are. Yeah, a company that looks, you go into a restaurant, it looks like it's the 1970s, doesn't mean that that translated as the charm of what they had. It's a personality, not, but you have to make sure the look evolves with the times.
Okay. Now, here's a question for you. What's one thing that you can tell that you would like to tell yourself when you're just starting out in this? From yourself right now. What if you can go back in time, what would you tell yourself as you're starting this type of work, your journey in marketing and advertising?
I think I would tell myself that there's a great opportunity to learn a lot of things from a lot of people, and that you need to figure out who are the right people to gravitate to that will take your career in different directions. Um, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of amazing experiences launching a big sports complex in New York, launching a minor league baseball team, and being on the field for 4 years and doing so, living out my baseball dream since I wasn't going to be the shortstop for the Yankees. Launching a major website. These are really great experiences, and just take full advantage of them, and enjoy them while they can.
Okay. I know time is short for us today. Uh, how can we get a hold of you? I know a lot of my listeners are small business owners. We're starting to think about small business owning. How can they get in contact with you to discuss what you offer?
Well, the best way is through my website, profitmasterbusinesssolutions.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn, Howard Walpuff. That's WOLP as in Peter, OF as in Frank, F as in Frank. I'm always open for questions. I love speaking to small business owners and getting a sense of what their challenges are and seeing different ways to address them. And it's to me, that's what I really enjoy most day to day, being able to solve problems.
Okay. Wow. I I know it's actually 4:45 right now, and I'm gonna let I know you have other things that are pressing at the moment, but honestly, thank you for your time and thank you for being part of the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for hospitality, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about marketing. It's something I can keep on going, as you can see.
I know. What we'll do is we'll make plans afterwards and we can reconnect. I'd still love to be as keep in contact with you as well, and schedule you to come back on.
Absolutely, Magnus. It'd be my pleasure.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. I'm actually going to keep with the show here. And honestly, everybody, this stuff here has been crazy. You've heard it from Howard. And what we really need to do out there is when we're starting to do our business, and it is very enticing to go after everybody because everybody has a dollar. Everybody wants to spend their money. But it, from what Howard was saying and what I've been finding out through my stint as a business owner and as an author and publisher and whatnot, is find the people that you want to help. Um, what I mean by that is find whatever your business is, whether it is like a pest control or plumbing or publishing books, find out where those people are, go to them. Chances are they don't, like Howard was saying, is they don't know, they don't have an answer to a problem they have, and they don't, and vice versa. So to do that is you got to know where your people are. My books, like I said before, is I had questions about my books, and what better way to get great information is by example. So my books, the Making More Money for You series, is from, it's supposed to be from 18 to 35, but honestly, everybody has been reading them. I have 16-year-olds that have emailed me and 65-year-olds that haven't emailed me, which is wonderful because that means that my book is doing its job. The content is doing its job. Um, and the show is as well, because this marketing right here it's a jungle out there, and we can get lost. We can spend a lot of money in such a short amount of time with no results. And we have to, as business owners, we have to be able to recognize that, and we actually have to have our strategies in place. Our strategies are well thought out beforehand and shouldn't be on the fly. Of course, there are the people and business owners that just do things on the fly. It's like, oh, let's try this, let's try that. The whole spaghetti off the wall thing, as Howard was saying. But if we surgically do this, instead of going out with a 10-pound sledgehammer and actually just go out with a little ball peen hammer, like a little sculpting hammer, we would get a lot more results, and we wouldn't break as much with such a small hammer. And your audience will grow over time, because I understand that our customers are our livelihood. They're the ones that allow us that continue to be in business. But those customers, when they get great service, they will tell their other friends. They will tell other people. They will be your spokespeople. They will be your brand ambassadors, if you will. They'll be because if you're happy with the service or the products that you get, they will shout out to the moon. But on the flip side of that is, once you give bad service or you have bad products or you don't take care of your customers, they will turn on you in an instant. And and in this time and day and age with social media everywhere, that can be detrimental to your business, and you can lose a lot of money very quickly. So if you treat each customer like an individual, which we're supposed to be doing, and take care of them and make sure they have a great experience, that will enable us to do marketing to the right people. And one, will save time. Two, we're going to save money. And three, we're actually going to sell our products and services properly, and we'll have a better return on investments, and we will actually be able to continue business and even grow our businesses over time. Sometimes businesses grow overnight, sometimes they take a little bit of time. One of my coaches I'll never forget is, are you successful in the sales of your books? I had to sit back and think. I'm like, to myself, and I thought, no, I'm not selling a lot of books right now, which is fine. But on the caveat to that, I talked to my coach and mentor at the time, is I'm not just selling books. I am building a brand. I am building a legacy, and I'm also expanding on this and making sure that this solidifies as I keep moving forward, and not just over one book or two books or three books, but a brand that I can honestly be very appreciative about, and I can stand behind and market. And the marketing aspect of it is, the the marketing will be a lot easier since you build a brand, or brand with services and goods, instead of just worrying about sales. I understand. I'm taking the long route for this and building step by step. I am not leaping over giant concrete walls at the moment, or I'm busting through the marketing by thinking outside the box and going to where my customers are, but from a different angle. Like we said about Facebook ads, we talked about Twitter, we talked about Instagram and TikTok. These are basically all the tools of the trade that we're using right now, and everybody's on them. We have to go where the people are, and not a lot of people are out in the world experiencing things. We're all stuck on our phones or some sort of device to keep things close at hand, and all in our little world of our cell phones, or digital world, if you will. Now, television and television has been one of the biggest marketing things since its conception, and the 1950s started that revolution when we actually had television and live shows, and couldn't honestly, the shows had to actually take a break because of getting set ready for the next thing. And on top of that, it actually cost a lot of money to do the shows, and they would subsidize and the time between shows and between takes by selling things. And that's where we're at right now. Everybody is commercials are 4 or 5 minutes long. An average 30-minute show, a sitcom, is 30 minutes. It's only 21 minutes, and there's three or four segments that equal 9 minutes of time. And those 9 minutes of time, they are commercials, and they are back to back. Some of them we see repetitively, some of them we see once, and we often wonder, it's like, what was that thing that we've seen? And you wish it would come back and you never see it again, which is sad. That's super sad. And oh my goodness, we are closing down already. So all in all, this show is, I believe all of us out there can benefit from this show. We are either starting a business, or we are in a business, or we're actually going to start another business. And having Howard on this show was actually very informative and eye-opening to the mass jungle of advertising and marketing. And the basics of it is know your audience, where to find your audience, and testing. Those are the top three things that we can take away from this. We need to leave our impulses and our emotions to the side and let the numbers actually show us what needs to happen. The numbers will either be it worked, it kind of works, or it's not working at all. But we have to have our strategy in place to figure out which is which. So that is actually our show today about marketing and digital, actually building a market for your brand. I may actually change that to digital marketing and small business owners, because that's exactly what we covered today. But next week is going to be a lot of fun. I am looking forward to this show. Honestly, I booked this show out like 2.5, close to 3 months out. I was reached out by this gentleman's publicist. He has been in Hollywood. He's been a producer. He is a comic strip cartoonist in the New York Times. He has been in a lot of quite a bit of movies. I am talking about Victor Varnado. We have him on the show next week. He's going to be our guest. He's going to be the guest with me, and we're going to talk about his career, how he got into acting and show business, and how he was able to use his platform to catapult himself into being a very successful business person. It's going to be a lot of laughs. We're going to talk about his stand-up career, his side projects, and he's also an author, which is, I just seen that was just added for him, and I can't wait to talk to him. It's going to be a very inspiring show. So tune in next week on Voice America or on your streaming service. Yeah, 1 o'clock Pacific time, 4 o'clock Eastern time. But until then, get outside, do something. Oh, and also happy Valentine's Day. Do not forget to take care of your Valentine, or it will be a very long night for you. So until next week, have a wonderful week, and we will talk later.
You are clear.
All right, Josh. Man, that was a very good show.
Yeah, man. You have a wonderful weekend. We will talk to you next one, buddy.
All right, take it easy
All right.
and enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, you too, man. Bye.